What do you do when someone you're trying to sue keeps vanishing into thin air? According to newly uncovered legal filings, Sean Diddy Combs is now being permitted by a judge to serve a $100 million lawsuit to Courtney Burgess through newspaper publication, an unusual and aggressive legal measure that's typically only approved when all conventional attempts to deliver legal documents have failed. And allegedly, that's exactly what has been happening. Burgess, who briefly went viral months ago following explosive interviews, claiming he had seen disturbing material allegedly sourced from Kim Porter, has reportedly gone off the grid ever since. In those interviews, Burgess hinted at being in possession of 11 flash drives containing highly sensitive content reportedly passed to him before Kim Porter's death. After the interviews circulated, he stopped appearing in public discussions altogether. And now, based on recent court documentation, every attempt to track him down has hit a dead end. Teams allegedly tried emailing 5 separate accounts associated with him, no response. Documents were sent to a P.O. box, which turned out to be inactive or unmonitored. A process server even reported briefly contacting someone believed to be Burgess, only for that individual to vanish again before any paperwork could be formally served. Neighbors questioned about an address gave conflicting information, one even stating that nobody with that name lives here anymore. Diddy's legal team reportedly insists that Burgess is intentionally dodging the lawsuit, especially after publicly speaking on matters that may now be central to Diddy's claims. In these new filings, he appears to be pushing the court to recognize that traditional service is impossible due to Burgess's evasive behavior, and the judge agreeing to allow service via newspaper suggests that the situation has reached an extreme stage. But here's where analysts raise eyebrows. Even if Diddy wins, how realistic is a $100 million payout from an individual like Burgess? Many observers report that Burgess likely does not possess the financial capacity to cover such a settlement. That's led to speculation that the lawsuit might be more symbolic than strategic, a move to fight back publicly against damaging claims rather than an actual pursuit of financial recovery. Reportedly, some believe Diddy's focus on this litigation reflects an escalating frustration. While he is already facing a series of legal battles and ongoing investigation-related pressures, comments circulating online suggest that he may be prioritizing smaller confrontations to maintain a sense of control. Instead of focusing on the broader challenges, he allegedly seeks to score tactical wins against individuals who publicly challenged him. Sources close to the situation describe Diddy's legal push as emotionally charged, less about legal necessity, more about proving a point. Commentators argue that pursuing a 9-figure lawsuit against someone who appears nearly unreachable and financially incapable of response signals a reactive mindset, possibly tied to safeguarding ego and narrative, rather than shaping a long-term legal strategy. Even the method approved for service through public newspaper announcement indicates severity. It's a legal route often used as a last resort, a reflection that standard approaches have been exhausted. And while Burgess has not reemerged publicly since those interviews, this development suggests that he may be pulled back into confrontation whether he wants to or not. In the end, the filings paint a picture of a high-profile figure aggressively trying to tighten control at a time when his public image is already under intense scrutiny. Whether this approach strengthens his position or amplifies questions about his legal decision-making remains to be seen. What is clear is that this lawsuit is about much more than money. It appears to be about pride, pressure, and the need to reclaim authority in a narrative that's slipping away. When it comes to Sean Diddy Combs and the ongoing legal battle with NBC, things have taken a turn that's far more intense than he might have anticipated. According to newly surfaced filings, the network is not backing down. In fact, they're striking back harder than expected. Reportedly, NBC has requested that Diddy's $100 million defamation lawsuit be dismissed entirely, stating that his current situation is the result of his own actions, not any documentary presentation. In their response, NBC's legal team emphasizes that Diddy allegedly acknowledged in court during sentencing that his downfall was self-inflicted. They cite statements he reportedly made directly to the judge, claiming, "Because of my decisions, I lost my freedom, I lost my career." Analysts reviewing the case note that this admission undermines his attempt to blame the network. The implication is clear. If someone says they destroyed their own reputation, can they later argue that a documentary did it? Sources point out that NBC's strategy appears to be rooted in existing public records rather than editorial interpretation. Their legal filing reportedly argues that his decline stems from his own guilty verdict, a mounting list of lawsuits, and his own documented words, not from what was shown in the film. By highlighting this, the network positions itself as merely presenting developments that were already public knowledge. Observers also mentioned that NBC's filing is notably assertive, with phrasing that suggests a refusal to accept responsibility for Diddy's image collapse. One section allegedly reads, "We did not ruin his life, we reflected it." Some insiders interpret this as a move to protect journalistic integrity and distance the network from accusations of intentional harm. It also suggests they are prepared to stand firm against any narrative positioning them as aggressors. Reportedly, Diddy is furious about this, believing the film played a critical role in shaping public opinion against him. But critics argue that this reaction reflects a pattern. Rather than accepting accountability, he appears to redirect blame. That sentiment has surfaced repeatedly online, with commentary pointing to a consistent lack of remorse, both during sentencing and in the way he's handled ongoing litigation. What makes this particular dispute significant is that it shifts attention from outside perception back to personal responsibility. Legal analysts note that if the court aligns with NBC's perspective, the lawsuit could be dismissed before proceeding to trial. And if that happens, it wouldn't just be a legal loss. It would represent a public rejection of Diddy's attempt to reclaim control over the narrative. Some commentators describe NBC's new response as strategic and unapologetic, reflecting an industry trend where major media outlets refuse to shoulder blame for what they present when the primary source is court evidence and direct statements. In this developing clash, one question lingers. Is this about damage control or about refusing to accept that the damage was self-inflicted all along? There's a moment in Diddy's legal saga that many believe may have unintentionally dismantled his entire case against NBC. During the sentencing hearing, he reportedly told the judge, "Because of my decisions, I lost my freedom and my career." That single statement, which at the time wasn't highlighted as a legal risk, has now become a critical point in NBC's counter-argument. While Diddy is currently focused on pursuing a $100 million lawsuit against Courtney Burgess, it's important to remember that approximately 6 months ago, he attempted the same figure against NBC. His argument then was that their documentary placed him in a worse position and contributed to his downfall. However, analysts note that what he said in court directly contradicts the foundation of that lawsuit. NBC's legal team is now using that exact admission to assert that Diddy cannot blame them for the consequences he is facing. Their new filings reportedly emphasize that if he openly acknowledged that his own choices led to his downfall, then the documentary couldn't be responsible. That contradiction strengthens the network's position, suggesting that his lawsuit against them lacks legal credibility. Some legal observers believe this may make dismissal highly likely. The stance being discussed is that if a person accepts responsibility for their actions in a legal proceeding, it diminishes any argument that external parties caused the outcome. NBC's filing reportedly positions this as a fundamental flaw in Diddy's case, one that could lead to a swift judgment in their favor. Commentators say that this situation also reflects how Diddy approaches litigation. Rather than focusing on resolution, he allegedly pursues aggressive legal action to assert control, but with both lawsuits reportedly valued at $100 million, one against Burgess and one against NBC, questions are being raised about the viability of either case. If the court sides with NBC, their case could be dismissed quickly. And with Burgess still unreachable, his other lawsuit appears to be stalled as well. What further amplifies the issue is that Diddy's reaction has reportedly been emotional. Insiders claim he was extremely upset during this period, arguing that these legal challenges are a result of unfair exposure. But many say his own statements are now being used as evidence against him, making it difficult to sustain allegations. As it stands, experts suggest that Diddy could lose not just one, but potentially both legal actions he initiated, leaving him in an even more vulnerable position than before. And if that happens, the narrative shifts significantly, from an attempt to reclaim control to an example of how misplaced legal strategies can backfire in high-profile cases. In the midst of ongoing industry-level legal disputes, another major development has emerged, this time involving Usher Raymond. According to recently reported filing, Usher has initiated legal action against longtime collaborator and producer Brian Michael Cox, following an alleged failure to repay funds tied to a failed restaurant venture. Sources indicate that the lawsuit filed in Fulton County Superior Court focuses on $700,000 that remains unpaid from a $1.7 million advance made earlier this year. The agreement reportedly stemmed from a proposal to open an establishment in the Buckhead area of Atlanta. While the project was originally expected to move forward quickly, public records indicate that the real estate transaction necessary to begin development never materialized. Usher, rather than becoming a full investor, allegedly opted to provide financing in the form of a loan, held in trust with the expectation that progress would begin promptly. Months passed without any advancement, prompting his legal team to request repayment. Court documents reportedly state that although $1 million was eventually returned, the remaining $700,000 was not. As a result, Usher's legal team has escalated the matter, calculating approximately $700,000 for each of 7 separate claims highlighted in the filing, bringing total damages sought to nearly $5 million. Observers note that the lawsuit appears to reflect a broader shift in how disputes are handled within the entertainment sector. Rather than writing off financial setbacks as business risk, high-profile figures are reportedly taking more aggressive legal action to recover losses. Sources also mention that as of now, the defendants have not responded or filed counterclaims. If that remains unchanged, legal analysts suggest the case could proceed in Usher's favor given the documentation surrounding the initial transfer and subsequent non-repayment. Additionally, commentary online suggests that this situation illustrates a growing tension in long-term industry relationships, that Usher is pursuing legal action against someone he has professionally collaborated with for years signals how high the stakes are becoming. Reportedly, those close to the situation believe that the lawsuit isn't just about recovering costs, but also about establishing boundaries and accountability, particularly when financial agreements are tied to reputation and trust. As one commentator pointed out, when significant funds are advanced with expectations for swift action, even among familiar parties, failure to follow through can lead to consequences. And in Usher's case, according to allegations in the filing, he appears fully prepared to take the matter to court rather than leave it unresolved. What makes this lawsuit particularly striking is the history behind it. The restaurant investment dispute isn't just a failed business move, it represents an unexpected breakdown between 2 collaborators whose partnership has defined some of the most recognizable R and B tracks of the last 2 decades. Brian Michael Cox, a 4-time Grammy-winning producer, has worked alongside Usher for over 20 years, which is why, for many in the industry, this sudden legal confrontation comes as a surprise. But according to commentary circulating online, there's one aspect of Usher's reputation that stands out. When it comes to finances, he is reportedly uncompromising. Allegedly, and this is not verified, some insiders claim that the reason Justin Bieber unfollowed Usher in the past was due to concerns over financial handling, believing that Usher may have taken more than expected. While this claim has not been officially confirmed, it is frequently mentioned when discussing how assertive he can be in financial matters. From what commentators suggest, money often comes before relationships for Usher, particularly in contracts, investments, and profit negotiations. Some say that when he believes he is owed, he does not hesitate to act, regardless of the history he may share with the other person. That perspective adds context to why he is reportedly pursuing millions in damages, even from someone he has worked with so closely. With that said, if any of us were owed $700,000, it would make sense to demand repayment. Legal analysts argue that the basic principle is fair. If the investment agreement did not proceed and funds were not returned, the lender has the right to seek compensation. However, what makes this situation notable is how quickly it escalated and how aggressively the claim has been pursued. People familiar with the matter have described Usher as financially meticulous, suggesting he expects full accountability when handling large transactions. Allegedly, he prioritizes clarity and precision, and when that is not met, the consequences can be direct. According to ongoing commentary, this lawsuit reflects more than just a contractual dispute. It underscores a deeper stance on financial responsibility within the industry. Ultimately, the tension between Usher and Cox demonstrates how even long-standing professional relationships can shift when high-value investments go wrong. Legal observers state that while Usher is within his rights to pursue what he believes he is owed, the optics of the case raise questions about how money can alter dynamics, even between long-term collaborators. According to commentary circulating online, the tension between Usher and Justin Bieber allegedly stems from financial concerns that reportedly surfaced behind the scenes. While none of these claims have been officially confirmed, the discussion suggests that Bieber may have distanced himself after realizing that the financial arrangements surrounding his work were not aligned with what he expected. Some observers claim he believed larger percentages of his revenue were being allocated to individuals he considered close, referencing figures he once viewed as like brothers. Allegedly, this contributed to their relationship deteriorating and led to him severing ties, including unfollowing several members of his former team. Whether these claims are accurate or not, the sentiment aligns with broader industry conversations. When an artist reaches a level of major commercial influence, financial vulnerabilities often become more pronounced. High-profile performers are frequently compared to names such as Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Whitney Houston, or Michael Jackson, where the higher the visibility and economic leverage, the greater the risk of those around them leveraging excess for personal benefit. Analysts describe it as an unfortunate reality of fame. Those presenting themselves as trusted companions may at times be motivated by financial opportunity rather than loyalty. In parallel, Diddy's current litigation landscape reflects a similar pattern of pressure. Despite multiple attempts to pursue $100 million lawsuits, including those aimed at Courtney Burgess and NBC, legal strategists comment that the likelihood of significant victory in those actions appears uncertain. Some suggest that his legal efforts may be driven as much by frustration and perception management as by realistic outcome. What's particularly notable is that while some viewers might expect these legal battles to be interconnected with ongoing investigations, sources emphasize that several of these actions are entirely separate civil matters. Reports confirm he is currently involved in multiple active lawsuits, each progressing independently. Observers argue that attempting to pursue expansive litigation, especially amid broader scrutiny, may further complicate his legal standing. Commentary within the industry indicates that emotional reaction may be driving parts of his strategy. The repeated legal filings, reportedly intended to exert control or counter public narratives, appear to be yielding limited results. As some analysts have put it, launching multiple high-value lawsuits without strategic alignment can backfire, especially when recent court statements may conflict with arguments being made. Ultimately, this sequence of events suggests a heightened level of instability around figures positioned at the center of public and legal focus. And while audience engagement around these updates continues, it raises a broader question within the industry: how much of what we see is strategic legal action, and how much is fueled by emotional response during a period of intense scrutiny? At this stage, the point is no longer who's suing whom. What's becoming clear is that Diddy's legal actions are less about strategy and more about reacting to growing pressure. After years of decisions that now seem to be catching up with him, these $100 million lawsuits appear to be emotional attempts to regain control rather than calculated legal moves. The fact that his own statements in court undercut his claims adds even more doubt to the direction he's taking. In contrast, Usher's legal response comes across as far more deliberate, financially focused, and carefully structured. So now the real question is not which lawsuit grabs headlines, but who will ultimately be held accountable. And judging by how things are developing, Diddy may soon face consequences shaped not by his opponents, but by choices he made himself. If you've got thoughts on this, feel free to share them. And if you'd like to stay updated as this story unfolds, you know what to do.